Good morning. I'm happy to see so many familiar places in the room. I'm really happy to see all the ESPON family gathered again, this time in Romania. So dear colleagues, welcome to Iași and to our biannual ESPON seminar that we organized this time together with the Romanian presidency. You probably don't know, but Iași has already quite a substantial history also working with ESPON, as the university has been in the past a devoted also and a very valued partner in a number of ESPON studies, and we are very happy to have and to organize this seminar in Iași this time. So this time our seminar is about the role of functional areas for territorial cohesion. It is about how to design development policies based on the needs of people rather than on the borders of the administrations. Nowadays, we see many functional areas emerging at pan-European, urban, cross-border and macro-regional level. And we see that their aim is to provide the necessary framework for action to ensure the service provision or promote economic development or mobility solutions. Designing for borderless areas creates new grounds for cooperation at all levels, bringing people and places closer together to find joint solutions for their well-being. Although this debate is not new, and we already have quite a number of good practice examples, and this approach is expanding, we still consider it revolutionary because it requires new governance solutions, rethinking planning systems, and also investment practices. And besides changing legislation and methods of planning, it requires a change in mentality of policymakers, administration, and citizens to think and act beyond administrative borders, beyond the restrictions of the local, regional, or national administrations. And on top of that, a very strong political leadership to promote change for the benefit of the people. ESPON has been dealing with the concept of functional areas for quite a long time already, and in the current program we have implemented and are still working on several projects that further develop the concept of functional areas and also advise on its practical implementation. For example, we have completed a study called Acteria, and we also are thankful to our partners and colleagues who have been working on this project. And it described how functional areas can be addressed and also considered in the context of soft cooperation, and also looked into 24 examples of soft territorial cooperation areas across Europe. Bridges is another example of, and here I look again at the same people, where the concept of functional areas has been used as the scale of analysis of labor markets, and these areas, as we know, are determined based on place of residence, workplace, and commuting flows. And then we have yet another activity that we call Fuore. That's the ESPON approach to call our activities. That aims to help policymakers to better understand the drivers for growth and inclusive social development in functional urban areas across Europe by providing them the necessary tools and data. But you know, the best way how one can understand functional areas is by looking at some real-life examples, and this is the one that I would like to, these are some examples that I would like now to offer you at the scale of a functional urban area, a cross-border area, and a macro-regional area. So I will start with an example of a functional metropolitan area of Prague that we analyzed in our SPIMA project. It overlaps with the region of central Bohemia, and it is comprised of the Prague city, the inner suburban ring, and the outer suburban area. It covers about 2 million inhabitants and 515 municipalities, a real challenge in terms of coordinating activities and also in terms of cooperation. The area plays a leading role in the economy of the country, accounting for 25% of the national GDP. But Prague had to face challenges related to suburbanization trends that escalated differences of land and property prices between Prague and its suburbs, fostered social disparities, and also increased demand in transportation and social services. So to address these challenges, Prague is currently implementing a European Integrated Territorial Investment Program that successfully supports a public transport initiative in the entire functional area beyond its specific administrative borders. And the ITI of Prague is almost fully embracing the FOA and also results in the elaboration of a strategic plan for the Prague metropolitan area, although it does not imply a formal governance at metropolitan scale. Prague used the implementation of ITI to generate considerable expertise for the regional authorities and also planning institutions, but also launched debates about the formal status of the metropolitan area and the need for developing a clear governance model. Now let us move on from Prague to the greater Copenhagen area that is made up by the Danish regions of Zealand and capital region of Denmark and the Swedish region of Skåne. This cross-border metropolitan area, home to almost 4 million inhabitants, was developed in 2013 in the policy framework of the Danish business regions and became operational in 2016. It is governed by 2 different political bodies where local authorities are actively participating, and the cooperation of the 3 regions and 85 municipalities that are taking part in this initiative followed the Öresund cooperation, which was primarily, as you know, developed to support the development of the Öresund Bridge. Today, the bridge connects Malmö with Copenhagen, creating a region that is very favorable, a favorable location for foreign investors with a strong innovation profile. The region was classified as an innovation leader in the Regional Innovation Scoreboard in 2018. Greater Copenhagen area is an important center for life sciences and also home to the cross-border cluster Medicon Valley, made up of pharmaceutical, biotechnological, and also medtech companies who together employ approximately 40,000 people. The region is also a global player in the energy sector, specifically clean tech and also green tech solutions, and Scandinavia's largest recruitment base of highly skilled employees. Finally, from cross-border we move to a macro-regional Alpine area. As you know, Alps have a very long-standing tradition in cooperation that is shaped through the Alpine Convention, the Alpine Macro-Regional Strategy, and the Interreg Alpine Space Program. It is an area of about 70 million inhabitants, comprising some of the most important European metropolitan areas. It is one of the most successful economic spaces in Europe and one of the most attractive touristic destinations worldwide. The major challenge for the Alpine area is to balance economic development and environmental protection through common innovative approaches. A fine example of this cooperation is Alpark, a network of protected areas that is addressing transboundary challenges in the Alpine countries. Alpark was established in the framework of the Alpine Convention, and it supports strategic orientation and project implementation in the area. Furthermore, in the context of the EU's ALP, in 2017, stakeholders signed the joint declaration of Alpine states and regions on green infrastructure that sets the objectives and framework for cooperation in this area. According to our Alps 2050 project, the scenario that describes the Alpine region as one functional space underlines the necessity to improve further linkages between the different subregions. And according to ESPON, towards 2050, the relationship between mountainous inner Alpine and the more urbanized pre-Alpine parts will be strengthened, and in parallel, cross-border relations will be addressed more intensively. So this is just a quick insight in some of the case studies that ESPON has developed to understand the dynamics and development perspectives of functional areas at different scales. And we do believe that this exercise has to be continued. Such an analysis has to be performed on a regular basis and should cover more or less all the functional areas that we have around Europe to support learning on the basis of those examples, to promote exchange of practices and experiences, and to expand this approach within Europe, because it does require knowledge, it does require experience, and motivation and encouragement as well, because, as I said, of course, this is quite a revolutionary approach that breaks the existing borders within the planning systems, within the governance systems, and also within the investment practices. So there should be a boost, there should be a stimulus, there should be a motivation to go into this direction. And we will continue this topic now throughout the first day, and we will start with the first plenary session with the two brilliant keynote speakers that we have invited today to inspire our debates throughout the day. Before I pass the floor back to John to finish the introductory part, I would like to say a big thank you to the Romanian presidency for our great cooperation, for our cooperation in organizing this event, and also for their very open and positive support during this whole half a year of their presidency for the concept of territorial cohesion, for the development of the territorial agenda, and of course for the ideas from ESPON and bringing forward and pushing forward the messages that ESPON has so far developed to support the design of the new territorial agenda. And of course we also would like to say a warm thank you to Iași County Council, and to say that this is a beautiful and amazing place, and we're very, very happy to be here. Thank you so much, and enjoy the 2 days.